Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Keiko Tay, and I am your podcast host here on the show today. And today we have John Chatmas, CEO of Waterloo Capital, joining us. We're going to share all about his business, his journey to business ownership, and what it's really like to own and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop episodes like this. Welcome, John. It is so great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kay. It's great to be here.
Wonderful. Well, let's start off. Share a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Waterloo Capital.
Oh, golly, where do I start? So I went to University of Texas, graduated with a degree in finance, wanted to get into this side of the business, and was a long-time financial advisor at Smith Barney, Morgan Stanley, and ultimately Morton Keegan. But just felt like that there was a better way to approach this business other than the traditional, what's called wirehouse model. Got into this in 2011, running a firm called Vertus Private Wealth, and was lucky enough to buy that the following year in 2012, where we renamed it Waterloo Capital. We were incredibly tiny, about I think 60, $70 million total. And we had an idea that what we wanted to build, which incorporates a lot of private market investments, as well as being able to offer family office services to our clients. And, 13 years later, we've grown it up. And I think maybe by the end of this year, but I think by first quarter, we'll probably cross the $2 billion mark. So we've seen a lot of growth, especially in the last few years. And it's been really exciting, been a lot of fun.
Oh, that is incredible, especially like seeing where you started and what you've built. And so I want to hear about your journey. What's your why? Why did you decide to buy? You said you wanted to do things differently. Can you dive into that a little more?
Yeah, what things changed along the way, like in a lot of businesses, right? And so what we wanted to build was something that would be attractive for the ultra high net worth client. And, being a small firm, it's very difficult to get those types of clients until you get much bigger. But that's really what we were doing. Along the way, a dear friend named Craig Cunningham came to me and said, John, I've been diagnosed with COPD. My doctor's given me 3 to 7 years. Can I come on board as an advisor at Waterloo? And so we brought him on board as an advisor. And so we had to start to develop things for him. We had no plans of developing an advisor platform. And then a year or so after that, a good friend, she had a team of 3 ladies, asked if she could come on board with us. Really liked what we were building. Let's just say she's a little more demanding, but I love her like a little sister. And so we really had to start developing a real advisor platform. How could we service these advisors? Not just a firm that had a couple of advisors that wanted to access what we did. So we started building that out. And then something happened. Today we sit at about 28 advisors. They all have their own clientele, and we provide what we call critical infrastructure for them. So we give them the tools they need to be successful at helping their clientele. And so the business has shifted quite dramatically. A few years ago, we launched our own asset management company called Intelligent Wealth, which manages money in the public markets. And we also have Waterloo Capital Family Office Services, which are a higher level of planning, estate planning, bookkeeping services, entity structuring, really just some services that your ultra high net worth clientele are going to require, even all the way to the point of concierge services. So, you get into business with thinking you're going to build one thing, and it changes over time. Just, it's a living, breathing entity almost. And so we have definitely changed. So really, the way I describe it is we're an ultra high net worth boutique that has an advisor platform so that advisors can take advantage of what we built to go and try to attract larger clients.
Wow, that is incredible. Well, thank you so much for sharing the heartfelt stories too of the people you've brought on and you touch on so many great points of what it is to be a business owner and to shift and grow as the time comes, and which leads me into perfectly into my next question, which is, what is something that like a challenge that you faced within these years of business that you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's a very timely question. So frankly, I would say that growth had outpaced operations. So a lot of the processes that we were using worked fine when it was just us, or maybe one or two or three advisors, but they were breaking down internally when we saw trying to do things the same way, but for 28 advisors. And what happens when we're 50 or 100? So we took the first 9 months of this year with zero outbound growth initiatives to focus on operations. We hired a phenomenal chief operating officer who's come in and really sort of re-envisioned how operations should work behind the scenes, been implementing a lot of new tech. A lot of it is custom code. We brought in a coder that's on the team now that's doing a lot of work for us, but that was a big problem. We didn't realize it at the time because that's not really my primary function. And I'm glad we did it, because the last thing we want is a ding to the reputation. Services slip, what have you, it's hard to recover from. So that's been difficult. I would say kind of 1B is I'm really proud of the culture at the firm. And as you continue to grow as a company, that might be the hardest challenge. How do you maintain that small company culture as you get more and more and more people? And that's where I think that the days back when we had the caddy business really helped me, because I probably interviewed at least 1,000, probably more, 2,000 caddies over the course of the time that we had that. And early on, you're not nearly as good at interviewing and understanding personality types as you are when you get to number 2,000. So I think that experience that my wife and we built that together. It was a fun run until we sold it in 2018 to a golf management company called Troon. But that was a big part of our lives, and it was a great learning experience for me, I think, and really understanding different types of personality types.
Oh, definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that, especially, as you used your previous business to amplify your current business with this different skills that you've learned. Looking at you, you talked about you're very proud of your culture, your team culture. I'd love to learn more about your team. How many team members do you currently have, and what is your culture like at your company?
Very collegial here. It's very team oriented. We have a rule. Rule number one is we have a no jerk policy. And when we are interviewing, we tell them, we've not, nobody's perfect. We've had a couple come in over the 13 or 14 years and they kind of found their way out. But no, we hire for personality type, competency. A lot of what we do, we can teach. It's a very young team, except for me. Nick, our president, is 40, and really most of the leadership team is below the age of 40. So excited about the future of the business. We're going to take it a different direction than a lot of other firms like me have been doing over the last few years. And we can get into what's really been happening in the industry if you want. But it's important. So, we do a lot of team events, whether it be pickleball. We do a dove hunt every year on the first day of dove season. I think our next event is a cooking class at Central Market. And we try to do a lot of different kind of things. But I think what you'll find mostly is you got a lot of super talented people that are all really genuinely nice. None of that fake nice stuff, just real, honest, genuine people. That's really what we look for.
That is huge. I love the sound of that. And how big is your team now?
I'd say W-2 employees, 18, 19, maybe 20 now. All in with 1099 contractors, advisors, and their staff. I think we're about 77. A lot of the financial advisors with us are 1099s, and they maintain their own staff.
Okay,
So
okay.
for the Waterloo universe, about 77 people with about probably 19 or 20 W-2 employees.
Oh, definitely. Well, that is so cool to hear. And, as you're developing your team, I'm sure you're working and growing your client base. How do you get the word out about your business? What are some of the marketing techniques that you're using right now?
Well, we're the worst marketers in the history of Austin, Texas, frankly. Everything we've been doing has been word of mouth. Now, we're agnostic in terms of whether you want to operate under the Waterloo brand or you want to operate under your own brand name if you're an advisor. So we have 9 different brands. So you'll see the commonality is we add powered by Waterloo into their name. So the best marketers are Strategic Capital, powered by Waterloo. Chris and Bobby and Adam, those guys, forever, if you Googled Austin Financial Advisor, Chris was the first person that popped up. They are phenomenal in what they're doing with digital and social, incredible. A lot of advisory teams really have been growing by word of mouth. It's a catch-22. I wanted to build the infrastructure out. There's only so much revenue. And to recruit the kind of talent we've recruited on the investment team and the analyst and so on and so forth, it's expensive. So ironically, it's just really over the last year or so where we've actually had enough money for a budget, really to do some marketing. So you're going to see a lot more digital campaigns coming from us, some more traditional media. And we've recently engaged a PR person, and they've been getting our team. I think so far we've been doing it maybe 6 weeks, and there's been 4 or 5 articles published about one of my team members, not necessarily me, but our private markets team and our public markets team. So I think you'll see more of that. There's this battle that goes on between what's the most effective ROI. Is it digital or is it more traditional media in our space? So we're doing some A/B testing to see which one is going to work better for us. We just hired a new senior vice president of partnerships that's going out looking to develop relationships with more advisors. That's a big part of what we do. So I would say that's about. Everybody does it a little different. So just to kind of finish that thought, each one of the advisors has their own thought about what's the best way to market for them. And so you see a lot of it. You see seminars by some of the advisors, digital by some, traditional by some, social by some. So it's really pretty much across the board.
That's incredible to hear. It sounds like you're building up some really awesome teams within that department and the marketing. Kind of as you look at the growth of the next 3 to 5 years, what are some of the things you have planned for the business?
Well, we're going to continue to add more talent. We're constantly reinvesting back in the firm. So the idea is as we onboard either new organic clients or new advisors with their own clients, we continue to add staff so that we can be better, more consistent. I think what you'll find is that back in the 90s, when I was in New York working for Smith Barney, the Wall Street Journal had a contest. It started in about 96 or 7, I think it was. It's when the stock market went on the great run, the NASDAQ did. And they had a team of stock experts pick stocks, and against a monkey that would a literal monkey that would throw a dart at the old stock page. So back in the journal in the old days, every single stock that was listed showed up, and you could go look and catch and see what happened the day before. So every time the monkey beat the pros, every single time. But contrary to that, the more intellectual capital you can have on your investment team, the more consistent that you can be year after year after year. So that's important. Add more intellectual capital to the investment team, add more to the planning team, so on and so forth. Continue to reinvest in the firm. Because we shift so much, and a lot of what we're doing, delivery of our service, I can tell you what we're doing in 6 months, maybe a year or 2. It's hard to predict that far out what this business is going to look like. It's changed a lot, certainly since I got in the business a little over 30 years ago.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it's so true. Businesses are constantly shifting and growing, and I'm excited to see where you head to next. Looking at some of the goals and your approach to goal setting as you grow, what is your approach to goal setting and how many goals do you have at one time?
That's interesting. I never really did a lot of goal setting. What I do is I'm very process oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I come in, I try to focus on the day. There's no perfect CEOs. My father was telling me a story about an article he read about a CEO, and they said, you seem to be making a lot of really good decisions lately. What would you attribute that to? And he said 2 words: bad decisions. And that's the reality of it. When you're in the leadership position, you make a lot of decisions every day and you just have to do it. They're not all going to be great. But I think that what we've learned from the past, and I've learned from my own mistakes and failures in the past, quite frankly, that for me, what's best is just to stay process oriented, focus on what I need to accomplish every day, and let the results take care of itself.
Oh, I love that advice. And I, as a business owner, needed to hear that myself. So thank you for sharing that. This has been a
Well, I mean, not to interrupt, we've all kind of seen that big deal out there, and then we didn't get to it. And why did we not get to it? Because we didn't do all the steps required to get to that goal, right? We can be focusing on the end result too much. I've seen some vision books. I like them. That's not what motivates me personally, or material things. I was asking my wife recently, I was like, I'm not sure what God's plan is for me. And she said, well, maybe you're doing it already, which was like, because what I do here is I love working with these younger, my greatest satisfaction in what I do is helping these younger advisors, teaching them about the business, the right way to handle business, and seeing them grow and seeing them flourish. That is the absolute best part of what I do, is working hand in hand with certain advisors that ask for it, right? We don't force it. And helping them and seeing them flourish and seeing them learn and become really great advisors. That part I love. I enjoy it. That's my greatest joy in what I do.
Yeah, I love to hear that. This has been such a fun conversation. You've shared so many great nuggets of wisdom for our audience. And now I'd like to dive into our rapid fire questions, which is 4 questions where you answer top of mind. Are you ready for some rapid fire?
I'm ready.
All right. Number 1 is, what is a key to success for you?
Well, I think that's interesting. I think it's being process oriented. When I first graduated from Texas many moons ago, my grandfather gave me a pamphlet, and it was called The Common Denominator of Success. And it was a keynote speech that was at a 1950s insurance convention. And when you read it, what it really says is that those that are successful, they do all of the steps required to achieve the success. Those that tend to be unsuccessful only on the aspects of their job or whatever they're doing that they enjoy. There's not, in every business, no matter what it is, there's going to be something to it that you just do not enjoy. But I think the key determinant of success is doing all the aspects required. And number 2, I really think it's EQ. I think it's understanding people. I think that's far more important in business than IQ. And I really think that more that you can understand people, how to relate to them, how to communicate with them, I think that's very important.
That is so true. Thank you for sharing that. And the second question is, what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Oh, well, I kind of have a rule where I don't give anybody else advice unless they ask for it.
That's great
Right.
too. It's true.
Right. Yeah, that would be my advice. And just to say process focused.
Definitely. Number 3 is, what is a book or a piece of content, could be a podcast, anything that you've taken in most recently?
Oh my gosh. I don't want to get political. In this business, you are anti-political. Mostly what I've been reading lately I read a lot about the election. I wanted to understand the different policies. I've been reading a lot about the different conflicts in Ukraine and in Israel. It's my job to stay on top of what's happening around the world. It can influence our business, especially. So, I wish I haven't been listening to a lot of individual podcasts. I've been mostly reading a lot of different media sources, and I like to read from other parts of the world. I want a different opinion on what's happening here in the States than just what I'm seeing on the media as it exists today in our country. It's hard to find just reporting. Now, whether left or right or wherever you are, I don't like opinion-based journalism as much as I like fact-based journalism. Just give me the facts. Let me decide for myself.
Yes, that's great. And then the fourth question, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight improve one aspect of your business, what would it be?
Wow. Well, we're still working on operations. So we'll be working on that for the next 4 to 6 months. So if I could wave a wand to be done with that, wave away. Because I I think I understand my strengths and my weaknesses, and I've been dealing in operations all year, and that is not a strength of mine.
Mhm.
So if I could wave a wand, that's what I would do for sure.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. Well, let's get people connected to your business. How can people find you online?
They can find us at waterloocap.com, short for capital. And that's probably the best way to get in touch with us. So we're certainly calling in at any time, 512-777-5900. Ask for me. I take all calls personally. I'm very informal. I tell people all the time, just call me. If I can't pick up, I'll call you back as soon as I can.
Oh, wonderful. So thank you so much, Sean, for this great conversation. For the final question of the day, what is most inspiring to you today?
Oh. Today, what's most inspiring is, if it's okay, my son Jack. Like a
Oh,
lot of kids, he was doing great. Then he got a little sideways. Thanks to some close friends, he got his life in order. He started working out. He had a lifelong dream of becoming a Navy SEAL. And Jack was accepted to Buds. Right now, he's completing his basic training at Great Lakes in Illinois. Then he's going to be shipped off to Coronado. And that's very inspiring to me. Seeing him achieve his dreams. That's what's top of mind for me today.
oh my gosh, that's so inspiring. And well, congratulations to your son for making his dreams come true. And thank you for your words of wisdom on this episode to help other business owners make their dreams come true as well. This has been an absolute joy.
Thanks for reaching out, Kate.